I won and I battled. That's a quote from Framber Valdez post allowing a Corey Seager home run to break up his second career no-hitter. We're going to break down that game, Framber Valdez's almost no-hitter, but I also want to talk about Tyler Mahle. And I think that leads us into a good conversation about the American League Rookie of the Year award, seeing where Wyatt Langford ranks on the odds. But we just talked so much about the Texas Rangers that we thought, why don't we talk about all the award races? There's a couple that have taken full authority over the winner. But then there are some dark horses that Jack and I are going to break down here on the Just Baseball Show. It is Thursday, August 8th, and it is all brought to you by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Remember, folks, when you download BetMGM on iOS or Android, use code JustBaseball when you deposit. Why? First bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. So, if you're new to BetMGM and you place a wager after using code JustBaseball and it were to lose, you'll get that amount that you placed up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. And if you win, that's awesome. Winning bets is sick, isn't it?
I think so.
We're going to look at the odds here. So potentially they could use the code and sprinkle a little bit on their favorite players. Jack, this episode is going to be a little bit shorter because the races are not quite as exciting as I want them to be.
We say that we're still going to go 55 minutes.
Yeah, we're still going to go 55 minutes.
Don't worry about that. Can I give like a little shout of free promo before we get into this?
No.
All right. That's fine.
Go ahead.
Let's get into it.
Go ahead.
Chameleon Super Concentrate. Do you get this cold brew at like your grocery stores? You seen Chameleon, the concentrate?
I've never seen that in my life, but as you know, I'm a huge coffee guy.
Yeah, you're a huge coffee guy. So I know you typically go with like stock cold brew and things like that.
I'm revolving through everything. All I need is as much caffeine as possible at the cheapest price. Stock was doing a pretty good job, but it's a little bit too expensive. So I'm trying to find ways in order to get caffeine in my body at the lowest price.
So Chameleon is a spot that like I would highly recommend, and I find it like pretty much everywhere. It's a concentrate. So like this mason jar, and yeah, I'm trendy and millennial, and I drink out of mason jars because that's what you do when you live in a one bedroom alone. But you do like half of it or 2/3 of it as the concentrate, and then the other half to other half to a third water. And this is like the Cafe Cubano from them. It's delicious. So highly recommend the Chameleon cold brew concentrate. We can talk about Framber Valdez now.
Let's talk about Framber Valdez. So Framber Valdez was inches away from his second career no-hitter. 8 2/3, 1 out left, and Corey Seager walks to the plate. And Corey Seager, he is such a badass.
Yes.
And I know that we're going to applaud Framber for his efforts. We're going to talk about Tyler Mahle. We're going to talk about the whole game. But I was watching that game. I know a lot of people were probably watching that game when Corey Seager stepped up to the plate. You just felt like he wasn't going to let Framber Valdez get a no-hitter against his team when the Rangers need wins now. And of course, they didn't win that game. The Astros went on to win. But he steps up to the plate and hits that home run. And I just love when he's running around the bases too. It was like a home run down 10-0 in the ninth, or just any sort of home run from Corey Seager, unless it's in the World Series. This guy shows absolutely no emotion. He's such a badass.
Let me just say, he was first pitch hunting. This guy is simultaneously predictable and unstoppable. What do you know about Corey Seager? He's ready to go after the first pitch.
Mm-hmm.
You allow your second walk of the inning, 2 outs, a man at first base, and Corey Seager comes up. He doesn't care that he's down 4 in the 9th inning. Like, if he gets a first pitch that he can do something on, knowing that that may be when you're at your weakest and he's at his strongest, he might kill you. I love how predictable he is while being that unstoppable. Like, what do you know about Seager? That is on every single scouting report since he was a Los Angeles Dodger.
And it's so funny, too, if you watch the Hunter Brown game against the Texas Rangers, where the Rangers ended up walking off that game, Hunter Brown pitched really well. And there was clearly, or at least it felt like to me, a plan here to not throw first pitches. He didn't get first pitch strikes on almost any of the batters. And if you were watching that game, it was a lot of 3-0, 3-1 counts and going back into the strike zone. I think he made it a mission not to throw this team first strikes. And that's what made Framber's almost no-hitter so damn impressive because he didn't care about throwing first pitch strikes. And Framber is such an amazing pitcher because when he's not on, the dude can really get hit. And not just 6 innings, 2 runs, 3 runs kind of hit, but like getting ballooned. But you can tell almost with Framber starts from the first couple of innings. Is he locating that sinker? Watch the catcher's glove. Is he throwing it wherever he wants? And then that curveball is just dicing right off it. Because if he's got it that day, there's no offense really in baseball that can hit him. You can hit him, but it's just going to be hard on the ground. Because when he's locating perfectly like that, he's unstoppable. He's one of the pitchers who he's really hard to project game over game. Yeah. Because if he has it, it doesn't matter the matchup. It doesn't matter the ballpark. He is going to shove it down your throats. And if he doesn't have it that day, it doesn't matter the ballpark. It doesn't matter the offense. They're going to hit him. He's a very polarizing pitcher that's tough to figure out, but more often than not, he's on.
And here's the thing, man. Like, at the end of the day, you're right. Start by start, it is very hard to forecast what Framber Valdez does, but he mixes those blowups and starts like he had on Tuesday night to the point where he had a 3.57 in 2020 in that COVID shortened season.
Yeah.
A 3.14 in 21, a 2.82 in 22, a 3.45 last year, and a 3.46 this year. You want to talk consistency? He is inconsistent start to start, but he is consistent year over year. And I think that's what holds him back from being one of the better pitchers in all of baseball. But I think that is at the same time, as backwards as it sounds, what makes him one of the better pitchers in baseball, because year over year, over the course of 162, you know you're going to be in a position to succeed with Framber Valdez in your rotation because you're getting close to 100 or 200 innings, 180, 200 innings at an ERA in the mid to low threes. But how do you get there is the big question. And like, what time do those blowups come? The good news for Houston, and I know that we're going to get into this series as a whole because I think this embodies like what we're looking at for the final 2 months of the season. Astros, Rangers, two teams that are looking up at somebody else in their division, at several other teams in the wild card chase, but feel very, very strong. And we're very confident that they can get there. Framber Valdez is the kind of guy that I want on that team. And he delivered this start at a very important moment in the season. Very important.
And it wasn't an easy game for the Astros to win by any stretch of the imagination because the focus should be on Framber Valdez, but the other half of the pitching matchup, Tyler Mahle, in his return, we talked about how he's not a guy that you can guarantee a win, right? You're not returning Jacob deGrom or anything like that, right. But can he be solid enough to win some games in order to at least keep you within the race?
Yeah.
And now the Rangers offense has done them absolutely no favors, right? Of course, almost getting freaking no hit. But even in the game that, while we're recording, if I quickly check the score between Astros and Rangers, it's 5-3. Astros are in front. Another great start by Yusei Kikuchi, which is hilarious. Maybe the Blue Jays didn't give up enough for him. But no, back to Mahle for a second, because I thought he was fantastic against an Astros offense that I know has been struggling a little bit, but they're still the Astros. And you look at the final line, it was about 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned, 2 Ks. But not only did I watch the full Astros Rangers game, I went back and watched the recap because I was like, the way I watched Tyler Mahle, that line didn't make a lot of sense to me. And then I remembered, well, for example, the first inning, first couple of one of the hits, Alex Bregman doubled down the line, but it was one of those grounders that just kind of sneaks down the line. Yeah. And then Yordan Alvarez deserved the hit because he's fucking amazing. But it was like a 2-seamer running outside to him. It was a ball. Like, it was a pitch that most guys take. He just rifles it to left field. That one, Tyler Mahle, you just got to tip your cap. And then in the next few innings, he was dicing through people. And by the way, he stranded those runners. And the only way he allowed a run was on a flare that dropped in front of Wyatt Langford, which I think Wyatt Langford should have caught if he had a good route to the ball. Then you get a ground ball in order to turn an inning-ending double play. But instead, Marcus Semien the exchange doesn't work very well. So he doesn't get that last out. And then there's another flare to right field to score. So overall, Tyler Mahle, I thought, was fantastic, which is just so huge for the Rangers. So I didn't want Mahle's return, making his first start since April 27th, to go under the radar here, because that, while you're getting no hit, at least you got a bright light on the other side of the field, knowing that you have a legit pitcher like that making his return, and to look that good and that long, super impressive.
No doubt, man. And Malley, since April 27th of 2023, not April 27th of 24.
23, didn't I say that?
Yeah. No, you said April 27th, but like a reminder, that's not like, we're not going on 4 months without Tyler Malley. We're going on a year and 4 months without Tyler Malley when he was a Minnesota Twin with a 3.1 ERA in his first 5 starts of the year. Tyler Malley was really good last year in his 5 starts with Minnesota. He comes over, like, don't forget who this guy is. He had a 3.7 with Cincinnati as his home ballpark in 2021. In 22, yeah, an ERA in the mid 4s. He was acquired at the deadline by Minnesota. He was, fine with Minnesota after the deadline. But, like, I like that you bring that up with Malley, because he is just another injection of life for Texas. And we still have 2 months remaining in the season. I'm doing this thing where I'm looking at the standings. I'm like, might just be too little too late. Might just be too little too late. And then I remember that we actually have 2 months left in the season, and there's plenty of time for things to change. And there's plenty of time for the White Sox to lose 23 in a row. Sometimes it just sticks at 21 and that's it. But
hey, congrats, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. I want to thank the Academy first and foremost. No, like, come on, man. I saw Benintendi homered on Wednesday afternoon.
That was the Benintendi game. People are saying the contract might have been worth it.
Vibes are right. I also saw, I think it was Jake Mintz that tweeted out, congrats to Brooks Baldwin, who debuted on July 19th and just experienced his first major league win. Like, that's so bad. That's so bad. But no, man, I thought this series embodied exactly what I was thinking and the anxieties I felt when I looked at the big league standings, where I look at 2 teams that are on the outside looking in. I'm like, oh, is it futile? Is it too little too late? No, it's not too little too late. I think we're watching 2, probably 1 postseason team, but maybe 2 postseason teams duel it out right now, while both are out of the quote unquote postseason picture.
100%. And another player that I wanted to talk about at length was Wyatt Langford and his struggles since the All-Star break, where he has a 54 WRC plus. And that brings us into a conversation about the American League and National League Rookie of the Year. And like Jack and I figured out, you know what? Let's just do the whole damn thing. So what we're going to do for the next 35, 40 minutes, maybe we'll go longer, maybe we'll go shorter. I have no idea. But what we are going to do is we are going to evaluate the award races in the American League and in the National League between the Rookie of the Year, the Cy Young, and the MVP. And we're going to bring up the odds because, of course, our friends at BetMGM, if you want to place any wagers on BetMGM, might I recommend using code JustBaseball for that first bet offer back to $1,500. But what I like bringing the odds in, even if you aren't a bettor, you don't care about betting, you might even hate betting. What it does do is it gives you a projection. What the smartest sports books who set lines, who try to beat the public every single day, and there's a reason that Vegas is so shiny and plated in gold and has plenty of waterfalls everywhere. It's because they make money and they know what they're doing. So to bring up the odds to show people the probabilities, you might think, oh, well, I think this player is really good. Well, BetMGM actually thinks that they have no shot at winning. Or you think, do they have a shot? And BetMGM thinks they have a really good shot. So let's dive into the odds, and we will start in the American League Rookie of the Year race. Wyatt Langford's odds pre-All-Star break were plus 125, which is an implied probability of about 47%. So they thought he's got a near 50-50 shot to win this. We sit here on Wednesday, August 7th, recording the Thursday, August 8th show, and he is plus 1,800. I don't have to give you the implied probability of that. It's close to 0. Or it's like 2-3%, whatever. Yeah. They think that he is off the table. And it's hard not to see why. When you look at the rest of the rookies in the American League, he doesn't hold a candle to them. While he may be more talented and have a better career overall, I don't think he's going to win the Rookie of the Year. He's got an WRC plus below 90. He's not playing good enough defense to warrant the offense is going to come up. He's playing such good. No. So we could talk about the front runners here. And the front runner is Colton Cowser of the Baltimore Orioles at minus 155. So they think that he's about a 60% favorite right now to win it. Following him is Luis Gil of the New York Yankees at about plus 250. Then you got another Yankee at Austin Wells at plus 800. You got Wilyer Abreu and Ceddanne Rafaela of the Boston Red Sox at plus 1,300 apiece. Then you got Colt Keith at plus 1,600. Then Wyatt Langford, and then a bunch of long shots. Because I don't think we need to talk about Langford unless you think he is still a dark horse or you think that he's going to have this incredible resurgence in the last couple of months. I'm not looking at anything through the numbers. I also, when you watch Wyatt Langford hit, he looks passive. I don't know why. I don't know where this aggression left. We saw plenty of it at Florida. We saw plenty of it in the minor leagues. But for whatever reason, he's taking all the time. Like, this doesn't look like the Wyatt Langford that we're used to. So, respectfully, we got to talk about other guys who are just having better years.
Yeah, no, I think he's out of it at this point, which is really unfortunate. But at the end of the day, like you can't look like this for 4 months and still be in it. There are guys that have been hot and cold that I think are in it, but Langford, like he was hot for what, a month there? I was hoping that June was going to kick him into high gear and he would be off and running. But you're right, after the All-Star break, it just has been nowhere close to good. Cowser is the front runner. I get it. Wilyer Abreu is having one of the more underappreciated seasons in all of Major League Baseball. 86 games, this guy's hitting 273. He leads all qualified rookies in OPS at 854 at this point. Very emotional moment where his grandmother passed away. He homered in his first game back, and he looked up and, pointed to her when he was rounding the bags. I thought that was awesome. That was his 12th homer of the year. Wilyer Abreu also 24 RBI or 24 doubles, 42 RBIs in 86 games. This guy has been an unheralded, I don't want to say star, but legit producer for the Boston Red Sox this year. The other guy that I want to point your attention to is Colt Keith. And I know that for the first week of August, he's been pretty slow out of the gates. In July, this guy was one of the better hitters in all of baseball. He hit right around 340, 350, OPS over 1,000, had 7 homers in the month of July. I don't think it's too little too late for a Colt Keith if he gets hot again or if he sustains this stretch that he's experienced over the last 30 days. I understand the odds are where they're at. That just feels like he's way more of a long shot than he should be at this point.
I kind of agree and I kind of don't.
Yeah.
I agree with you that when you watch Colt Keith, he's been better. Like, for example, Colt Keith has been better than Ceddanne Rafaela, and Keith has longer odds.
Offensively, yeah. I mean, Rafaela provides this level of defensive wizardry that I think boosts him a little bit. And, I'm not expecting F4 to play a massive role in Rookie of the Year.
Because I think F4 is a pretty good designation of the Rookie of the Year. It's not perfect, obviously, but would you be able to look at Rafaela versus Colt Keith? Because I really want to compare 3 of the hitters at the top, because I think that's really where the value is. I think playing long shots this late into the season, you're really, really hoping. And Colt Keith has been, I think, just a really solid player since.
And by WAR, Colt Keith is double the player that Rafaela has been this year. Rafaela is 0.6, Keith 1.2.
So that's what I was trying to communicate. Like, Colt Keith should be above Rafaela in this race. I don't even know why Rafaela's odds are this high. I think he's just a top prospect. He's flashy, he's fun, and he is good. He doesn't have the total numbers this year. And Colt Keith, it's almost too little too late. And if you're not going to go on an insane heater, which he was there for a little bit of a stretch, but now he's slowing down again, to win the Rookie of the Year for him, I don't think he can slow down at all. And he has. And when Colton Cowser has a 3.0 or 3.1 F4, depending on, he plays today, he'll probably have a hit, probably get up to 3.1 if he's not there already. That's why I'm really narrowing in on 3 guys. You already mentioned them, Cowser and Wilyer Abreu. You already broke down the stats. But I also want to include Austin Wells in this. And there's a reason that I'm not including Luis Gil. Even though Luis Gil's plus 250 to win it, I still like him. I still think he should be considered one of the favorites, but here's my concern with Luis Gil and winning Rookie of the Year. The innings limit. Matt Blake, the pitching coach for the Yankees, said there isn't a number on it, right? They haven't come out and said, all right, 150, you're done. Or 140, 130, whatever the number is. They haven't said that. The way that they're doing it is strange, but I'm okay with it as a Yankee fan. But what they're doing is they're basically tracking his metrics. So, and Luis Gil, if you haven't noticed, isn't pitching every fifth day. He's pitching like every eighth or ninth. There's big gaps in between his starts because they're giving him more time, right? Will Warren is back in this rotation. Garrett Cole is back in this rotation, and they're going to get Clark Schmidt back soon.
Yeah.
But to go back to my earlier point about the workload, what they're doing is like they're tracking his metrics in the weight room, right? They're looking at arm speed, they're looking at velocity, they're looking at spin rate on his stuff. Is he losing anything? I think that's when they'll start to limit his innings. Yeah. And maybe this way that they get him pitching kind of once every week and a half will help that.
Yeah.
I'm just worried that if Colton Cowser or Abreu or Wells, they're putting up a 4-win season and the numbers look pretty good, and Luis Gil throws 130 at like a 3.4, is that going to be enough to win it? I don't know. We still have 2 months left. I struggle, me personally as a bettor, to bet on pitchers on any of these awards. I've kind of learned by fire, betting on Yamamoto, betting on Spencer Strider. These guys get hurt. There's nothing you can do. Of course, hitters get hurt too, but it's just much more likely that a pitcher is going to get hurt. So you almost have to factor that into the odds when you are betting. And I feel like Luis Gil plus 250, that's based on what he's doing right now and projecting him out to throw every fifth day for the rest of the year, rather than the innings limit. Clark Schmidt coming back, Will Warren now being in the rotation, does he get enough?
Yeah.
That's why I don't, and the possibility of, you never know, a guy could get hurt. So that's why I've cooled on Luis Gil and I want to focus on these hitters.
I'm with you. I also think that, level of impact on your team factors into Rookie of the Year voting too. And at the end of the day, like, Luis Gil was amazing and one of the best pitchers in all of baseball through the first 2 months of the season. His May, where he was 6-0 in 6 starts with a 0.7 ERA and opponents hit like under 100 against him in the month of May, like that firmly placed him in the driver's seat when it comes to American League Rookie of the Year voting. But I thought his June took him out of the race seemingly entirely, rated 6.5. And that's just the nature of the beast when it comes to pitching. If he replicated that May and did it again in September, it's like, oh shit, we've got a conversation here. But that May was just going to be so far and away his best and most productive month. And the Yankees can still very well win the American League East with Gil seemingly as a non-factor, starting every 2 turns in the rotation or not starting at all. Where do the Orioles go without Cowser's presence? Where do the Red Sox go without Wilyer Abreu's presence for the final 2 months of the season?
I think Abreu is the most impactful rookie.
I think so too.
You could also say Austin Wells has been pretty damn impactful.
He's been very impactful.
Respectfully, noodle arm back there and Jose Trevino versus Austin Wells. It's a big difference.
Right. You just called a former platinum glover noodle arm. But hey, totally.
Because I'm an upset, emotional bitch sometimes.
I am totally 1000% with you that Wilyer Abreu is providing more impact to the Boston Red Sox than Colton Cowser is to the Baltimore Orioles.
But it's so funny, by F-War, Colton Cowser has been more valuable, but to the Red Sox, we totally agree.
To the Red Sox, like, the Red Sox have been buoyed by pitching. The only reason they're still in that conversation is because the starting pitching was so good the front half of the season. Now it's time for a couple of bats to step up, and we know who Devers is. We know Casas is on a rehab, and Casas is working his way back. If Wilyer Abreu finishes the year with an 850 OPS and the Boston Red Sox sneak into the wild card picture, I mean, shit, dude. I think Wilyer Abreu should absolutely be getting some serious juice in this.
And that's why the odds don't make a lot of sense to me. But here's how I can somewhat rationalize it. Games played. Cowser's played 20 more.
Yeah.
And he has 16 home runs to Wilyer Abreu's 12. Wilyer Abreu does have a higher WRC plus. But if Cowser, it's just kind of a war of counting numbers at this point. If the war totals and the WRC pluses are close somewhat, if he just is playing more games, he's going to have the counting numbers and he's likely going to win. So
I think Wilyer Abreu can catch up. Like, I just watched Femke Bol in that 400 relay for the Netherlands, like, do that anchor leg crazy. I think Wilyer Abreu could do something like that where he just clips him at the very last moment. Wilyer Abreu, yes, 20 fewer games. 10 fewer total bases.
I know. No,
He's
in the
there.
games, he's played better. And another player that has played less games but has a higher F WAR than Willie Abreu is Austin Wells.
Mm-hmm.
Austin Wells has a 2.6 F WAR behind the plate for the Yankees in 75 games. But again, he's got 8 home runs and a 116 WRC plus. How does the voting committee, are they just full-fledged F WAR? Because I think Austin Wells, based on his defensive acumen this year, might finish with the highest F WAR among these rookie hitters.
Yeah.
But he's probably going to have like 11 or 12. No, he'll probably have 13 home runs, you're hoping,
Yeah.
with like 50 RBIs, and he's hitting 244. Like, I don't know how many nerds are in the voting committee, but yes, the F WAR. Like, I think he should be in the race.
Yeah.
But don't you find it interesting that he's plus 800 and Willie Abreu's plus 1300?
I do. I think Willier should be well ahead of him. I think Willier Abreu is priced incorrectly.
I kind of agree with you, and the reason we broke it down already, but also that he's boxed in with Rafaela. I almost feel like sportsbooks are being lazy. BetMGM's being a little lazy, just kind of grouping these two Red Sox together when one's been objectively better than the other and should be at least close to Luis Gil. If you're saying Luis Gil's plus 250, Willie Abreu's plus 1300. I mean, that's absurd. I just don't know if he's going to be able to catch Cowser, because Cowser is also heating up. He's also been hitting the living shit out of the ball. So while Willie Abreu is hitting, so is Cowser. So I think we're both aligned here. If you're going to make a bet on the Rookie of the Year race, Willie Abreu is the guy to target. And I also think that Austin Wells is a guy to target, not because I think he's going to win, but I think it's going to be damn close at the very end. And I think in a month, Austin Wells odds are going to look like plus 300, depending on how this race goes. So if you want to get a little closing line value, Abreu and Wells, I think, would be the bets that you and I would give. Would you agree with that?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
And I would lean firmly Abreu.
I think I agree with you, just especially based on the odds alone. Like, if you think it's close and one's plus 500 difference, Willie Abreu is the bet to make here.
Yeah.
Let's move over to the National League Rookie of the Year, and also after breaking down the American League Rookie of the Year, Jack, like,
there's nothing.
Probably going to go an hour.
Yeah,
We're probably going to go an hour.
Yeah, for sure. But also, like, National League Rookie of the Year, there's nothing to break down.
It's a good point. So Paul Skeens is minus 3,000. I mean, so what we could do is debate about everybody else, but nobody else is going to win it. I just think that's Jackson Merrill has not been good enough. Shota Imanaga has not been good enough. Mason Wynn and Jackson Chourio have completely fallen off the map according to the odds. Yeah. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that, but you look at their numbers and you look at Skeen's numbers and you're like, okay, well, I get that.
Yeah, it's like whatever.
But one guy I wanted to bring up whose odds are like way out of whack. Michael Busch leads National League rookies for the Chicago Cubs. Not leads the Cubs. Leads all rookies in OPS at 809. He's playing good defense. He's got 15 home runs. And Jackson Merrill, who's second in odds at plus 1,500, has a 2.6 F/WAR, 115 WRC plus. Busch 2.2, 124. Busch should be one of the front runners for this award. And that's not to take anything away from Jackson Merrill. That's purely looking at the odds here. Michael Busch is plus 10,000. Jackson Merrill's plus 1,500. Neither of them are going to win it because Skeens is going to win it. I just wanted to point that out. Give Michael Busch at the Chicago Cubs his praise, because I think we remember Michael Busch as the guy who got off the ground so hot. We're talking about that trade. Oh, maybe the Cubs got one over on the Dodgers. Then he kind of fell asleep for a little bit, got out of everybody's kind of rear view mirror. And then I feel like people just kind of forget about him because the Cubs are not, winning the division. They're probably not going to make the playoffs. Maybe they will. We're talking about that later, but he just kind of fell out of everybody's vision.
Yeah.
He hasn't fallen out of mine, but he fell out of the vision of BetMGM. I get he's not going to win, but I mean, those odds are insane. They're insane. He should be right up there with the favorites.
I wish one of these guys was in the American League race, because they would be running away with this. And Busch, I'm with you. Like, I think Busch would be running away with the American League Rookie of the Year honors. But like Merrill, Shota Imanaga, Hell, I see Tyler Fitzgerald is pretty high up there, and I love what Tyler Fitzgerald's doing. But again, it's been about 20 games. Um,
Mm-mm.
Mason Wynn.
Take that back. It's been all 50. I know it's been a lot lately, but like, damn it.
It's
I
been
was on
all
a heater.
50. I know. Shout out downstate Illinois, Tyler Fitzgerald.
I
But
said on yesterday's podcast too that I've been reaching out to Tyler Fitzgerald. I'm trying to find all of his socials and just send him messages to get him on the show. He won't answer.
yeah, fair. I just sees you, and it's like, oh, dude,
This is fucking loser.
what am I doing? No, but like Mason Wynn would be running away with American League Rookie of the Year honors. But this is just a much more stacked field in the National League. Problem is, they have a co-Cy Young favorite, maybe.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to get to the Cy Young here in a moment. That's kind of leading the pack, and it's a non-conversation. It's a non-starter to bring up anybody other than Paul Skeens.
Are you worried about Skeens though? After he didn't throw like almost a no-hitter in his last start, he gave up like I think 2 runs. He looked horrible.
Yeah, I pushed the panic button, and I texted a bunch of people that I pushed the panic button, and I got blocked by a lot of people, which was kind of weird.
He faces the Dodgers on Saturday. I can't wait to watch that game.
Awesome.
Like people are going to be spending their Saturday nights at bars, at birthday parties, at whatever. Nope.
Paul Skeens against the Dodgers.
Paul Skeens against the Dodgers.
Is the first pitch going to be 107?
It's going to be pretty quick.
Yeah.
No, he there's no point. Basically, what we are trying to say is that there is no point betting on a National League Rookie of the Year unless you want to burn money. I've burned money before. I bet on stupid shit. I bet on Parker Meadows to win the American League Rookie of the Year. That's burning money. But sometimes you can get intrigued by the odds where I'm like, oh, Parker Meadows is probably going to have a job all year. But he's plus like $1 trillion. That's worth lunch money. Well, can't have lunch today because I just burnt it.
Yeah, no lunch for me. No,
but I think it's important also to reiterate that message that while the odds may be good and like a guy like Willie or Abreu, like those odds do make sense and maybe he can win it, be careful. Lunch money bets because we're coming down to the wire here and the value could be there, but not always a winner. That's why I burn money every year betting on Francisco Lindor to win the MVP.
Yep.
Finishes with a 6-win season every year. He's always
not even an all-star, man. Come on.
Finishes 6th in odds. Feels like a good bet. Never actually wins. All right. Before we continue into the Cy Young and the American League races, let's take a quick break. All right. The National League Cy Young race is a good one. The favorite, Chris Sale, is at plus 115. And these odds may move because he's pitching today against the Milwaukee Brewers as we are recording. The second favorite, Paul Skeens, plus 185. And then the third favorite is Zach Wheeler at plus 240. Now, if you look at the rest of the guys, you got Hunter Green, you got Dylan Cease, you got Tyler Glasnow, and then it gets really, really long odds.
Yeah.
So what we really should be focusing on here is Sale, Skeens, Wheeler, Green, and Cease. And we could talk about Sale slightly. So what I also wanted to bring up is Fangraphs. So Fangraphs has a Cy Young predictor, and they've been pretty damn good over there. They have like, it's called FIP adjusted Cy Young points. It's this big, formula, but basically they're looking at your fielding independent pitching among underlying metrics and predicting who they think should win the Cy Young. And I want to just bring in quickly the American League Cy Young odds because Tarek Skubal is minus 250 to win that award. And Fangraphs has Skubal winning in the American League Cy Young very similarly to Chris Sale in the National League in terms of probabilities. Like they don't think that race is Skubal being minus 250, big favorite, versus Chris Sale still being plus money. Yeah. So what I want to do from this exercise is pick your brain, Jack, and see if you think that it might be worthy of a wager on Chris Sale plus 115 because let's say he dominates the Brewers.
Yeah.
Let's say he gets hit by the Brewers. Let's say those odds change a little bit. Do you really think that this is Chris Sale's award to win? Because in my personal opinion, Paul Skeens should not be plus 185. Fangraphs doesn't think so either. I just don't think he's going to have the innings. And especially when Wheeler and Cease and Green are doing what they're doing, would not place a wager on Paul Skeens at all.
Yeah. So that's the problem for me. Like I can appreciate, the hat tip to excellence of Paul Skeens this year. He's thrown 86 major league innings.
Yeah.
And that's beyond his control. Like he threw 27 AAA innings this year. So if he was over 100 innings at this point, we thought there was a chance that he got to 140. Hey, you can have that conversation. At the end of the day, a starting pitcher, like a reliever, is a different story. If a reliever throws 70 innings and they're amazing video game numbers, they can be in the Cy Young conversation. I don't think a starting pitcher can be in the Cy Young conversation if they throw fewer than 150 innings in a given season.
Remember, not so long ago, we had that debate, front of the program, Walker Buehler versus Zach Wheeler versus Corbin Burns. Corbin Burns wins it at like 167 innings or whatever he was at.
Burns won it at 167 innings.
Damn, I nailed
and
it.
we were like getting the pitchforks out. And it's like, how can that happen?
So it's just not going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen. Like, I don't think you can give the Cy Young Award to somebody that throws 125, 130 innings.
He'll be the favorite next year.
Absolutely.
For right now, it's just
absolutely. We go into that without question that Paul Skeens is the Cy Young favorite in the National League next year. But
what about Strider?
Off of an internal brace. I know, like off of an internal brace, he should be top 5 in those odds, but he should not be the front runner in front of a healthy Skeens.
Agreed.
I think that Wheeler is really intriguing. And if I had to pit Wheeler and Sale against each other for the final 2 months of the season, I'm taking Wheeler over Sale, who has come nowhere close to these kind of numbers in years. And Wheeler is here every year. I think Hunter Green is being disrespected with these numbers. Again, it's an oh, here he comes type of thing with Hunter Green right now. And he's been one of the best pitchers in all of Major League Baseball over the last month and a half. And this guy, opponents are hitting well below 200 against him. He's one of the league leaders in batting average against. He's one of the league leaders in whip. And all of a sudden now he's got a 2.8, and that thing continues to drop and drop and drop. And he's only 6 points off of Zach Wheeler. Hunter Green is not going to stop at 150 innings. Like, Green is up there with pretty much anybody in the National League in terms of getting to 200 innings. If Green flirts with 200 at a mid-twos, I don't think this guy should be priced at plus 1,500.
Here's the thing. I actually think he should be worse than plus 1,500.
Why?
I'm on the complete other side of you. I think he's overvalued. And the reason I say that is you're buying at the absolute peak of Hunter Green. The peak. Because if you look at the underlying metrics, right, if you look at what Fangraphs is trying to predict here, they have Hunter Green below Christopher Sanchez. And a big reason why is some underlying metrics are not great, right? He's got a 3.42 FIP, and and it's sometimes not even his fault. He's going to be pitching in Great American Ballpark, like, for the rest of the season too. So there will be home runs and stuff that like aren't even his fault that wouldn't go out at other ballparks. Like, he's just got a tough schedule on deck. And with some of the underlying, if we're looking at FIP and, expected ERA or Sierra or these numbers, like, they don't like him as much. So that's why I feel, for example, a guy at the same odds, who I think has actually a better shot to win it, if you look at the underlying metrics for the rest of the year, is Dylan Cease. Because Dylan Cease has been just as good as Hunter Green. Dylan Cease also has a little bit more track record, and he gets to go pitch at Petco Park, which is certainly helpful as well. And I think that Dylan Cease lately has actually looked a little bit better than Hunter Green. So if I'm looking at a guy who is right behind Chris Sale, like let's say Chris Sale falters in the start against Milwaukee, I'm actually looking at Dylan Cease, because Dylan Cease is plus 1,600 versus Hunter Green at plus 1,500. Zach Wheeler is plus 240. If we're looking at Fangraphs, they think that Cease and Wheeler both have the second best shot to win it, not that far behind Sale, where Hunter Green is falling into ninth. Now, I'm not trying to be such a prisoner of this is what Fangraphs is saying, so this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I use that as a precursor. Then I look into some of the underlying metrics and I realize Hunter Green might be at the peak right now, where I think Dylan Cease is just ascending and becoming, right, he's now touching 100 miles an hour, versus Hunter Green has been doing this. So for me, I think you'd be buying Hunter Green at a peak. I don't think he's going to end up winning. I think Sale is going to end up winning, but my long shot would definitely be Cease right now.
So Cease, it's tough.
But you got something with Cease.
No, I don't. Like, I love that guy. I always have a spot in my heart for that guy, and he's the freaking man. But he already threw a no hitter. He already went with 3 starts where opponents were what, 2 for 65 against him, 3 for 65 against him across
And then he
three
shoved
starts.
against the Dodgers. Like, this is just one of those months where Dylan Cease has 100, and when he's locating, like, we know how talented he is.
For sure, but last 5 starts for Hunter Green, man, 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 7 Ks. 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 10 Ks. 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 7 Ks. 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 5 Ks. 6 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 11 Ks. At the end of the day, like I understand that the peripherals may not be good as Dylan Cease's, but you cannot argue with the last 5 starts from Hunter Green. And Cease, I know it looks like the same exact thing. 6 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 11 Ks. 7 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 10 Ks. No hitter with 9 Ks. 5 2/3, 3 hits, 1 run, 6 Ks. He got burned in his last start, which sucks. Like the 2 hour delay because the warning track was fucked at
Yeah.
PNC. He went an inning, he K'd 2. Like, I'm sorry that we were deprived of another Dylan Cease start in that stretch. I'm excited to see his next start. I think he can go on very short rest because he only threw, I think, 16 pitches in that one, 14 pitches in that one. But man, like it's just tough to, sit here and say, oh, Cease is ascending while Green just maxed out. How do we know?
Here's what I'm looking at, just to simplify it down a little bit. So I'm seeing Dylan Cease, who already had a little bit of an elevated ERA. Underlying metrics were really strong all year. Then he refines velocity and has been on an absolute heater, and he's regressing to the mean of those underlying metrics. While Green, on the other hand, the underlying metrics are higher, and he's pitching the same as Dylan Cease right now. So you got one pitcher heading towards their peripherals, and the other pitcher pitching out of his mind right now. When the peripherals say for the rest of the season, he may run into a little bit of struggles. And that's why I bring it up, because Dylan Cease is also 16-1, while Hunter Green is 15-1. So that's why I even think, based on the odds as well, if both of them are just unbelievable right now, one guy has a 2.7 FIP, the other guy's got a 3.42. I'm going to buy into the one who's on a heater, and his underlying metrics keep telling me that the heater is going to continue.
So I final counterpoint. I would hear you on that, and it would resonate a little bit more if we were looking at like a 2.8 and a 3.1. We're looking at a 2.8 and a 3.4, even with this stretch from Dylan Cease. Like that's.
But I think then in the FIP, we're looking at a 2.7 versus a 3.4. That's where one guy I think is going to keep coming down, while the other guy, like right now, we're talking about a 2.8.
Yeah.
Based on FIP, they think Green finishes with the 3.4 and Cease finishes with the 2.8. That's where those are heading based on those numbers. Of course, anything can happen, but I'd rather bet on the guy with longer odds with that trajectory over the guy with shorter odds with the other trajectory. And then you factor in Hunter Green just got to go pitch at Great American Ballpark, which sucks. Right. Like that blows.
I also love that this is all a moot point because Zach Wheeler, his second to last time out, 5 innings, 7 earned, and he followed that up with 8 shutout, 2 hits, 9 Ks, and he's got a 2.7. Like, I'm taking Wheeler over both these guys, and I'm not thinking twice about it, and I'm not losing a lick of sleep.
I'm taking Cease over Wheeler.
Oh, I disagree with you.
I know I am. I think
vehemently.
I think Dylan Cease is on one of these runs where he looks like the best pitcher in baseball. And if we are currently looking at like innings pitched, like Wheeler can dominate because he'll be the guy at near 200 innings, and not a lot of pitchers can get to there. However, Dylan Cease actually has more innings than Zach Wheeler does this season, 137 to 136. We got a 301 FIP for Cease, and we got a 339 FIP for Wheeler. So funny just looking at Skeens at like a 269. Yeah. But I don't think that we should completely take out Glasnow. I'm just worried that the innings won't be there for him. Obviously, still,
they won't be there.
Dealing with stuff. So that's why I just kind of take him out of the race. So for me, if I'm not going to bet Sale, and I actually do think it's going to be Sale that ends up winning this thing, I would go with Cease definitely over Wheeler. I mean, he's 8 times the price. And at the same time, I think they're going to have a similar year when it's all said and done. When one guy, again, Wheeler and Green have kind of similar FIP, while Cease just keeps heading down in a good way. I'm rocking with Cease here. I think he's gonna. I mean, I'm also so pro Padres. I got so many Padres features, anyways. Like,
agree to disagree on that front, but
that's more than fair. Let's go into so just final answer. You would go with Hunter Green as like your
Wheeler.
long shot.
Long shot is Green, but like
you think Wheeler wins over Sale?
You pit Wheeler and Sale head to head for the final 2 months. I'm taking Wheeler.
Fair enough. I think Sale wins it, and Cease is my long shot. It's cool. We get a little bit of an argument there. That was fun.
Why
All
not?
right. American League Cy Young Award. Tarek Skubal is your big favorite at minus 250. You got Corbin Burns coming in at number 2 at plus 250. Seth Lugo plus 900, and George Kirby at plus 2,500. And then basically everybody else is somewhat of a moot point, unfortunately.
Yep.
I like seeing Emmanuel Clase. Got to get up there, Dodds.
Did
Remember
I
you
not give out
that?
Class A? I
Yeah.
think preseason, I think I gave out Class A. I was like, why couldn't he just bounce back? But I love that he's in the conversation.
Yeah. I think you gave it out, what, 150 to 1, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, it was like plus 100,000 or something. Yeah, it
He's
was.
80 to 1 now.
Yeah, there we
Belly.
go.
No,
No.
but those are the bets I make too, where it's like you feel good, but they're
Yeah,
not
you feel
winning.
good. And it's like, hey, they kind of look all right at the end, but like,
But
screw
I
it.
think it's cool the fact that like Emmanuel Clase and Cole Reagans have the same odds.
Yeah,
Like that's pretty damn cool. Because Cole
for
Reagans at
sure.
the beginning of the season was 11 to 1, while Clase was 150 to
Yeah.
1.
Yeah.
So great call by you again.
But again, it's the Ricky Bobby thing. If you ain't first, you're last. Like
First year
if it
last.
doesn't win, it doesn't matter.
So Skubal is the favorite and deservedly so.
Yeah.
264 FIP leads everybody. Crochet actually has a 264 FIP as well. But it's just innings and like I don't know what the White Sox are going to do with him. I just don't think that the worst team ever is going to get the Cy Young.
No.
Like, can you imagine though?
That'd be hilarious.
That would be kind
I
of
haven't
funny.
checked on that score after the Benintendi homer. Let me check on that while you while you break this down.
So Tarek Skubal should be your favorite. He's got a 2.58 ERA. Based on ERA, Burns and Lugo, I get it. They should be 2 and 3. I'm looking at a guy who's 25 to 1 right now, who I actually think can win this award. And unfortunately, we're recording this podcast on Wednesday, August 7th, when he is facing off against Tarek Skubal, George Kirby. George Kirby, according to Fangraphs, they think he has the second highest chance of winning this award. Because when it comes to innings, Burns and Lugo are likely going to be over 200, which is great. But their FIPS are both in the mid threes, while Kirby's got a 271. He's got the same amount of innings as Skubal. I think Skubal also has a lower FIP than Kirby. But I wanted to bring Kirby up because the underlying data is so damn fantastic. It's going to start getting a little bit colder at T-Mobile Park, where he's got a mid-2 ERA. He's got a mid-2 ERA during night games. So all of those high-profile Mariners games, like he's going to be throwing in at T-Mobile, and like I think he's going to fucking dominate. And I think they're going to be in some big games, whether that be in the Rangers down the stretch or the Astros or any of these big games, while the Mariners are trying to win this division. And while the Tigers just creepily slide out of it, the fact that Skubal's minus 250 and Kirby's plus 2,500, I think Kirby finishes ahead of Burns and Lugo. And that's no disrespect to Burns and Lugo. I think Burns and Lugo have been so damn good. I think they're going to be, low threes guys in over 200 innings when the year is said and done. But I think Kirby's going to be a 2.9 with 195 innings when it's all said and done. And I think he's going to finish second. And the fact that he's 25 to 1 right now, but I see you kind of grimacing. Give me the counterpoint here.
Own team dilution at this point as we record, and I know this is going to change. Kirby is a point ahead of Logan Gilbert. The fact that Kirby, Gilbert, Castillo, and Miller are all rocking low to mid threes ERAs, and Brian Wu, I know this guy hits the IL for 2 days after every single start, but he's
then he
got a
comes back and
208
dominates.
ERA. My thing is like everybody's been so good in that Seattle rotation where you almost like negate Kirby's overall impact. And I don't think that's fair. I think Kirby has been incredibly impactful, but I think as it stands literally right now, you tell me to look at Kirby and Gilbert and you say, who's the more impactful pitcher this year? I think the answer is Kirby, but the conversation is there to be had. Kirby
Absolutely
at this point,
is.
like Gilbert has thrown 11 more innings. He's got a 305. Kirby has a 304. My thing is, you look at Baltimore, and I know that lineup is so good, but Baltimore got like 2 starts from John Means, like 5 starts from Kyle Bradish. And there's been
Grayson,
one.
Grayson
Yeah,
just hit the IL with the lat problem.
there will be one consistent face
And he's
on one
gonna
of the World Series frontrunners.
and he's also so fucking good.
He's
Like,
also really fucking
that's the
good.
thing that
You're
I
right.
don't want to be lost in this conversation. If we're talking about a guy, I'm also mentioning the odds as an important factor here. We are not trying to take away anything from any of the guys if we don't pick them to end up winning these awards. All of these guys. Seth Lugo has been so freaking
So good.
awesome. So again, we're splitting hairs here with how great these have been. Just to answer that point about diluting, I thought about that too. Is Castillo good enough this year to dilute anything? Is Bryce Miller good enough to dilute? Like all these guys are so talented.
I think the
I
the
really just think it's
premier
Gilbert Kirby.
the premier diluter is Gilbert. I
100%.
think. And it's not as drastic. Like there are two guys that can finish 1-2 in Cy Young voting because this is a sport played by individuals. It is, in essence, like the most individualized team sport that we have outside of like the Ryder Cup shit. But like it's not a Curry Durant conversation because one person's progression is another person's regression when it comes to basketball or football. You have two wide receivers that are world class. Like Sammy Watkins took away from DeAndre Hopkins at Clemson. There are better recent NFL examples, but for some reason, that was the one that just jumped to my
Is it
mind.
because you recently watched the Sammy Watkins Clemson highlight tape, which is such an underrated
No.
tape? Like everybody talks about Tavon Austin, and
Right. And
deservedly
that's a
so.
crazy thing.
My second favorite, to Anthony Thomas, when he was at Oregon.
Dude,
Sammy,
okay.
yeah,
I
all right.
literally just found myself. Hold on, real
Okay.
quick. I literally just found myself on D'Anthony Thomas's Instagram yesterday, and this guy like last week was posting Oregon highlights. Buddy, that was 10 years ago.
No, but fuck, he deserves to
He
post those
deserves
highlights.
it.
He
He can ride
deserves
that.
it. He should be
Yeah.
posting those for 40 years. I'll watch all of them. I don't care. All right, but we're getting off track here.
But like, you know what I mean? Where in so many other sports, and I frankly think like in a lineup, I think Soto's production could. Now, Judge has been so video game, but if Judge was OPSing 1050 instead of 1150, I think Soto's performance could negate a little bit of Judge's MVP value when it comes to quote unquote value. In pitching, I don't think you run into that conversation, but from a narrative perspective, it's been Gilbert Kirby, Gilbert Kirby, Gilbert Kirby. And then you got Castillo at a 3.4, Miller at a 3.6, Wu when he's been on the mound at a low twos. With Baltimore, it's been Burns. Grayson has stepped down. Bradish, elbow sprain and then tore it. Means, forearm strain, then tore it. They needed to trade for Eflin, and we were still asking for a little bit more. No disrespect to Dean Kramer, but like Dean Kramer is not Bryce Miller. I just think Burns is alone here. And
And
that's
just
why if it's not going to be Scooble, I go with like the Lone Ranger on one of the best teams in baseball.
and just to further your point, just while I'm hearing you talk, I'm even thinking about this too. We are saying we are not grouping Castillo in with Kirby and Gilbert. Well, why the hell wouldn't everybody else? You're used to it.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about it right now because we're diving so
And
deep into the numbers and trying to
that's the
find
thing.
edges.
And at the end of the day, like it's not like Castillo has a
Not a
4.1.
five.
He's got
Yeah.
a 3.4.
He's got a 3.4 too. Like I don't put him on that pedestal with them, but like what's to stop other people from doing it where they see a 0.3 difference in ERA or something? So I think you're right. I just wanted to bring up Kirby because based on his numbers and how good he's pitching, I think he's headed for second place potentially. But you're right with Burns. He's been so damn good. It is interesting, though, to see a guy who was the FIP king fielding independent pitching to have the 3.5 FIP. He just hasn't been quite as good based on those underlying metrics, which predict future performance. But again, splitting hairs a little bit. Lugo, I think there's some secret dilation too. Dilution.
Dilution.
Is dilation a word?
Eyes, yeah, it's something you have done to your eyes.
Dilated.
Dilated.
So, well, no, I was gonna never mind. You got you got Reagan's there, and you got Brady Singer there, who's also been very good. Now, I don't put Brady Singer on that level,
Yeah.
but when you do have multiple pitchers in there as well, and then of course you got the allure of Bobby Witt Jr., and you just got the general smaller market team. Not a lot of people, I think, are like paying really close attention to Seth Lugo, like we are.
He's not as sexy as the other guys that we're talking about.
He's just not. It's almost the Reynaldo Lopez syndrome, where it's
Yeah.
like nobody believes that you can continue to do it because you were a reliever. Whether that's fair or not, I think that's the sentiment that you'll see shine through in voting unless he takes a hold of this in such an insane way that we cannot question it anymore. But the thing is, he's got a front runner in Skubal who's literally doing that.
Yeah.
And Skubal, you don't got to dilate, you don't got to dilute, you don't got to do any of the words
You
that
don't
I
have to do
mentioned.
anything.
You don't have to do no D words with Skubal.
Yeah.
All right,
Except
pause.
Detroit. Except
Detroit. Yes, Detroit.
Yeah.
Skubal, like if we're projecting future performance, he's got the lowest FIP. Strikeout rate is 1 trillion. Doesn't walk anybody. And he's also pitching at Comerica where it's going to get a little cold too. Imagine, I was doing a write-up. I took the under, by the way. Let's see if it wins after the fact. Probably not. Between Skubal and Kirby. And Justin Turner got hit on the hand and he exited the game. And I was like, Justin Turner's day-to-day, he might play. But even if he does play, like, that's got to suck to face Skubal with a bum hand.
Yeah, it's like, let me tough this thing out against Tarek Skubal. Like, nah, man, just sit.
All these guys banged up, like you're going in to face Skubal when you know, like, it's not a big game against the Tigers. Like, you're going to get fucked. Like, he's going to dominate people. Like, he's just going to win. He's minus 250. I'm also a little bit biased. I got him 10-1 from the beginning of the season, or 11-1, whatever it was. So I'm hoping that bet cashes, but I just think it's going to be Skubal. But I think if you want a little bit of value and you want to make yourself seem smart, when I think Kirby does finish second, you can bet him 25-1 right now. But
yeah,
and maybe the Mariners have won tonight and Kirby threw a fucking shutout.
Right.
And Skubal did give up 2 runs. Or actually, I have the under 6. I mean, Skubal gave up 4. Kirby gave up 9 against the Tigers for whatever reason.
Right.
But that could be, a storyline within there. But I'm rambling. Let's move to, we finished National League Cy Young. We finished American League Cy Young. Time to talk about the MVP races, which is, what I kind of want to do is highlight the other guys because Aaron Judge is minus 1,100 and Shohei Ohtani is minus 1,400. I can't believe Aaron Judge is minus 1,100 when Bobby Witt Jr. is doing what he's doing. There's a difference of 0.2 F-WAR. And there's also a difference in like 0.1 F-WAR with Ohtani and some of these guys. But then you look into some underlying metrics. And some of the underlying metrics surrounding Judge and Ohtani right now they're underperforming.
Yeah.
They're underperforming. Aaron Judge has a 216 WRC plus. He's 116% better than the league average hitter. Austin Wells has a 116 WRC plus. We're talking about him for Rookie of the Year. Judge is 100 points better. How's anybody going to catch this man? What if he hits 58 home runs and hits like 330 and like you're just not going to catch him, especially if the Yankees either win the division or finish second very closely. Who knows? I don't think it'll matter. Even if the Royals make the playoffs, and I love Bobby. He's fucking amazing. Can you make an argument for him? I can't. No, that's it.
No, I can't. Judge, I just want to run you through the standard numbers for Aaron Judge. And then I'm going to say something crazy. 111 games for Aaron Judge is hitting 322 with 41 homers and 103 driven in 111 games. He's slashing 322, 456, 701. That's an 1157 OPS. And when you take a peek at what's going on, I know Stephen Kwan is a qualified hitter at this point. I know Bobby Witt Jr. is hitting 346. I think Bobby Witt wins the batting title. But dude, we could be looking at a world with dueling triple crowns in both these leagues. And it comes from a DH and, corner outfielder. But at the end of the day, man, I really appreciate what Bobby Witt is doing, hitting 346, with a 980 OPS. 980 and 1162 are punching in different weight classes.
And if Judge is playing defense, shit. He's playing center. I think his Bobby Witt Jr. is so damn good. And Gunner's great. But if you look at Gunner's odds right now are plus 1,600. They're basically, I can't believe that Soto's odds are 25-1 as well. Like, genuinely, if I were to bet on one guy right now, it'd probably be Soto just because of the odds are out of whack. Like, he is above Gunnar in F4.
But
He's got
there's
a
no point.
7 F4 and a 191 WRC plus and 28 jacks, and he's hitting 310 versus Gunnar, who's got 29 home runs, so one more, 20 points less in batting average, like 60 points less in OBP, and a 164 WRC plus. So I guess if you want a long shot, you can go Soto. I do think it's going to be between Bobby Witt Jr. and Aaron Judge, but it's so hard for me to say, yeah, I think Bobby Witt Jr. is worth a plus 500 bet because, well, for a couple of reasons. So we're during this National League Central Stadium tour, talking with Pirates fans, and one of the Pirates fans asked me a question, and he says, "Is Aaron Judge the best Yankee you've ever seen?" And I was like, "Shit." Was like he better than Mariano Rivera? So tough. Like Mariano Rivera is the highest ERA plus of all time. He's the greatest closer of all time. Like,
Yeah.
is he? I don't know how to compare those. He's better than Jeter though.
Yeah.
I think he's better than A-Rod.
Yeah.
That's crazy to say. And like, do you want to bet against that right now, especially with the narrative? Like, everybody listening, you may hate the Yankees to your core, but you know where the media makes
nobody
their
hates
money.
Judge.
I know nobody hates Judge. No, but I'm just saying, like, even the biggest Yankee hater in the entire world can marvel at one of the best hitters, might be the best hitter of the 21st century, or at least this current run.
This
Right?
current
And that's
run.
going back to like
This
Trout
current.
and Miguel Cabrera and like guys like, they didn't put up 216 WRC pluses in full seasons.
They got damn close.
They didn't though. Like Judge is in Bonds category.
I
He
know.
also was 21st century, 2001 to 2004.
Yeah.
So there's your answer here. It was Bonds, but like
in
that's the
recent
category
memory,
he's in
Judge
now.
is as dominant. Yeah. I think you put it best. Like, can you even make the argument against Judge?
I want to, because I love Bobby Witt, I love Soto, I love Gunnar, but like, how can I?
No, you can't. You can't.
And the odds say you definitely can't. Like the odds say that Judge is like going to win barring injury. And that's even factored in. He's still minus 1,100.
Right.
So many guys have had such great years though. Like Jose Ramirez being at plus 12,500, like plus 12,500. That's absurd. He's had such a great year, but he's not going to win.
Yeah.
But he's not going to win. God, he's been so good. All right, let's go to the National League MVP. Unless you have any, like, would you even mention a long shot? I don't even want to mention one.
No, it would be doing a disservice. It's Judge.
It's Judge. All right, let's go to the National League MVP. Ohtani is a bigger favorite than Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Which is absurd to me. That's way more absurd. And I came on this podcast. Remember, Jack? I said plus 200. Get it while it's hot.
Yep.
Put 2 units on it. Win 4. Now he's minus 1,400. People were afraid of Bryce Harper or the DH thing. It's freaking Shohei Ohtani. Did we forget? It's like the greatest player we've ever seen. Well, just talking about the greatest hitter of the 21st century, whatever. Hyperbole. Ketel Marte, though.
I know.
Let me run you through some quick things. So, Ketel Marte just hit his 10th home run as we're recording on Wednesday in the last 14 games. Ketel Marte since June 1st. He's got an OPS near 1,100 at 1074. He's got a 191 WRC plus, 18 bombs, 49 RBIs, 36 strikeouts at 28 walks. He is such a freakish talent. Freakish. Just when you watch him, he just exudes freakiness. Like, name another second baseman you could say, well, we could try him in center. We're the best defensive second baseman. Marcus Semien. You bring up Bryson Stott, maybe. There's a couple others I'm not remembering off the top of my head right now. What are you going to put Marcus Semien in center? You want Stott in center? It's not happening. That's the freakishness of Ketel Marte.
It's like if Nico Horner could actually like really spank it at the plate. Right? Like that's what we're looking at with Ketel Marte. Now, I appreciate you shouting him out. Counterpoint.
Oh, good.
There are 3 National League players in the top 10 in Major League Baseball in OPS. Yeah. So 7 of the top 10 are in the American League. Those 3 National League players. Ohtani is 3rd at a 1019 OPS. Marcelo Zuna is 7th at a 944. He's also a DH. We can't make that argument. Ketel Marte is 10th at a 925. Again, the difference between 925 and 1019 is astounding.
Especially when Ohtani's got a 5.8 F4 to Ketel Marte, who's playing defense, and Ohtani's DHing. Like, Ohtani has 34 home runs and 32 stolen bases.
Yeah.
This is so vindicating for the Shohei Ohtani is fast club.
Yeah, it's great.
Take a bow. Everybody listening, you know who you are. You're probably really handsome or pretty or whatever, Jen, you are. Probably smart too. Take a bow. We knew. Nobody else wanted to talk about it, but we knew. Shohei Ohtani is also fast.
You force-fed it to us for years.
I tried.
We're here.
Nobody listened. Well, some people listened. And Ohtani's got 32 stolen bases. He's hitting 306. He's got a 180 WRC plus. He's second in home runs in Major League Baseball. But damn it, like, and then you look at Ellie, and you're like, well, he's got a 5.6 F4. Why can't he win it? Well, he's got a 134 WRC plus, and the dude's hitting 268. I know he's got 20 bombs and 58 stolen bases, but if the Reds aren't a playoff team, like, there's no shot. Ketel Marte. Like, I'm looking at 28 home runs. Well, Ohtani has more. 6 stolen bases. Well, Ohtani has 32. Ketel Marte's hitting 300. Ohtani's hitting 306. Ketel Marte's on base 366. Ohtani 394. Ketel Marte's been slugging like a madman at 557. Ohtani 625. I don't know what to do. I want to bring up the fact that Lindor is going to potentially be a 30-30 shortstop with some of the best defense in Major League Baseball, but the dude's hitting 253. I just can't find a good enough argument. And of course, we bring back Bryce Harper, who could go on a tear at any moment, but the guy's hitting 277. He's got a 3.8 F4. He's just missing time has really hurt him, even though he's played 98 games to Ohtani at 111, but it's a little bit too little too late, in my opinion, with him. So I get it. The war is creeping up on Ohtani, but Ohtani's got a 449 xWOBA to a 424 WOBA. He might get better. You see, Dave Roberts is keeping him in the leadoff spot when Mookie Betts returns. He's going to get more ABs. He's going to steal more bases. He's going to go 45, 450.
He's going to be the table setter.
I can't. I love our audience. I can't tell them even to mention a long shot, even though I want to talk about Ketel Marte until I'm blue in the face. Remember, I put him on the top 100 like really high.
Yeah.
I was like, he's going to get hurt. I'm like, as long as he's healthy, he's a fucking madman.
Yeah.
I want to, Diamondbacks fans. We see how hot you guys are. Keep applauding the Padres. How about them?
Yeah.
Right in the thick of it. They've won like 8 of their last 10 games. I just watched them beat the Guardians in game 1 of the doubleheader. They've been phenomenal. And they're probably going to make the playoffs. And Ketel Marte is going to go on a run again. But it's Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge. It is what it is.
Yep.
Damn it. I wish we had something like, but like at the same time, like we could make a pretty cool argument, but like it's not going to matter.
No, it's a moot point. So like, why? Yeah, I don't know.
I want to so badly.
I feel like a year ago we would have been like, oh well, you know what? It's a good thought exercise, and now it's just like, well, we don't want to do this to you.
Yeah, we just don't want to give you information that is like it's not going to misleading. Like we're trying to create a narrative. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Ohtani and Aaron Judge are really, really good at baseball.
Yeah.
So that'll do it for this episode of the Just Baseball Show. Hopefully everybody enjoyed. Be on the lookout. The mailbag episode with the 3 of us. Arm and I were going to do it on Wednesday, but we said, you know what? 3 of us haven't gotten together, chopped it up, casual Friday on a mailbag episode in a really long time. So what I ask from you, load those graphics up with as many questions as humanly possible. We will be releasing the graphic on our Instagram and on our Twitter. Of course, they're linked in the episode description. I'm going to be up really early, so I'll be posting that really early to get as many questions as possible. Fill them up. We want to answer a ton. Want to make it we'll probably go 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Or maybe more. It's going to be a banger of an episode, so
I'm
feel
going to cap
free.
us at 90 minutes.
We say that, and then we'll be like,
Yeah.
we got one more question, Jack.
Right. So
please load that up on our Instagram, on our Twitter. Any questions, all are welcome for the 3 of us, prospects, Major League Baseball, whatever. Doesn't matter. Ask them. And before you do that, maybe after listening to this podcast, the best way to support is rate and review 5 stars. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, best way to support and leave a written review. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. Hitting that big red subscribe button on YouTube. Did you enjoy this conversation? Do you think we overlooked any players? from our conversation, do you actually think that there is a long shot worth looking into? Let us know in the YouTube comments below. For Jack McMullen, I am Peter Apple. Of course, we'll see you tomorrow. With that, thank you, everybody.